Hello. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to try to let these last little few cats in here. So, my friends, excuse me, it can seem like we're all here gathering to get something, to add something on. Like this may be an important space, but really all we're doing here is talking about what we already know intuitively. Intuition is not reason, nor is it logic. It doesn't make sense because it's not time bound. But there can be a resonance here with this statement. There is no such thing as enlightenment. There's no such thing as you reaching liberation, and there is no such thing as a path to heaven. There is only liberation or enlightenment or heaven appearing already. And so that's why this isn't a teaching, because there's nothing to teach and nothing to get. This is already it. It's just totally unbelievable. So that's why the mind, so to speak, which actually doesn't exist, it's a belief, it's a story, it's like a ball of sensations and memories and ideas of what we think this is. But this is completely unknowable. So nothing I say is an end all be all. You cannot describe something that's indescribable. You can't pinpoint a mystery, and you can't catch air and show it to somebody. Meaning, it's like a diamond. It's multifaceted, but singular. And so, this could be one side of the facet, so to speak, facet, however you say it, but it's all wholeness. Maybe we're all appearances of the facets. Someone correct me if I'm saying that wrong or right. But the different sides of the diamond, you see, it's all totality. It's all wholeness. But if you're looking for a quality, if you're looking for a state or a certain emotion, you're looking for really like self-help, spirituality, or religion, because this is not a certain emotion or a certain feeling or a state. States, and even if they last a really, 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 really long time, apparently, states dissolve. So this is stateless, but can appear and move as states. It's formless, but is already appearing as form. So today we can dance with this. We can kind of ping pong with this if there's questions, but it is totally a misconception that you as a person will reach liberation. This didn't reach it. No one has ever reached it. That was the fallacy. That was the story. So what I can share is what stopped arising here was stories, beliefs, concepts of what this is. And now there's more, let's say, of an innocence, a wonder, a curiosity, because the dynamics of time have collapsed. Of course, it appears, obviously, hello. It's an appearance, meaning real and unreal simultaneously, like two sides to a coin. So don't worry, you won't get this. And you won't lose it either. So you can't fuck it up or get it right. Everything already is harmony. Thank you, Jim. Facet. Facet of a diamond. Thank you. So, yeah, if there's any questions relating to this, anything you'd like to express, it doesn't have to be a question. We can ping pong. That's kind of how the pot gets stirred, so to speak. So feel free, or we can sit in silence. Oh, here's a question. Most spiritual teachers say they got enlightened. Most spiritual teachers say they got enlightened in boundless energy, but they came back as person to save, help others. Like bodhisattvas kind of a thing. Yeah, that would be a spiritual or religious type of story or belief system. Yeah, I reach the top of the mountain and I bring all this back down to save all of the muggles and mortals. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's oneness appearing as the play of martyrdom or being a savior. Yeah. But I'm not a spiritual teacher. So we're just speaking about what is, what naturally is, what organically is, not what's broken or who's broken. And I, as a savior, is going to come down and save people. Yeah, the ascension's also a story. So the question is, what about Ascension 1212? It's another story. Just kind of like like the stories of being born again, all of these types of things. It's about change. Something needs to change. This isn't good enough. We're going to bring something better. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's the whole premise of the dream of separation. It's just a play. There's no one here who cares to change that. It's just a story. It won't bring you closer to liberation, because that's liberation pretending to be broken, thinking it's going to work on itself to ascend into a higher dimension or state of consciousness. It's just a game. Mm. Sure, Jane. So sorry about that. So she asked, we lost our beloved family dog this week. We had a brutal seizure that keeps replaying in my head. Can you speak on death? Your words always resonate. Death appears. Pets dying appears. Family members appearing to die. It all arises. It's natural to cry. It's natural to mourn the loved one, right? That's totally natural. Now, what stops arising is neurotic emotions around that, neurotic energy around that. Like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Could I have saved their life? There's like a mechanism of control and manipulation, because the person lives in an idea that that shouldn't have happened. That needs to always be there for me to be fulfilled. But what we're pointing to here of non-duality is life, which is pain and pleasure. It is yin and yang. It is sadness and happiness. It's not just one-sided where you're in bliss and gratitude all the time. You can say that even within the appearance of sadness, it is bliss that allows sadness to even arise. It is bliss that even allows the appearance of death. But there really is no death. It just appears that way. But also the emotion of mourning can also arise, and it may last a long time. But because no one is there, let's say, because there's no one commenting, narrating, owning or victimizing the appearance, there's no longer that tug of war with what is. But there can still be sadness, Jaina, totally. Now, the memories that are arising, like the trauma of that, it's just flashes. It's just flashes. Alive energy, emptiness, nothingness appearing as that alive memory. And it'll seem supercharged. It'll seem super real if there's a person there. It'll be super, what's the word? Alluring. It'll want to pull you in, so to speak. It's nothing. It's nothing. Similar to a dream experience at night. It can seem so real, so charged, but it evaporates. So that what is arising there is aliveness, unconditional love appearing as that. You could say it's like an invitation. Each character within their story, so to speak, has an invitation. And maybe that is the death of the pet for you. It is very interesting. And as we speak, it seems dualistic, but it's all the beloved. It's all yourself inviting you to see this, so to speak. It is paradoxical, though, I know.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh, hiya. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Who's speaking? I'm gonna come find you. Oh, there you are, Alexander. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah, first one of these. So I have a few burning questions. I would say one of them that burns the brightest is about solipsism.
About what? What was
So,
that word?
do you know the philosophical concept of solipsism?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, it's this classical idea that apparently can't be disproven, that all that exists is my mind and everyone else is just like cardboard cutouts in my mind, so that I only know that my bubble of perception exists and then everything else. So, and I feel this is deeply true, is that you can't really disprove this. So, but then from this perspective of other people, like, obviously it sounds absurd. So from the second person perspective, it always sounds absurd, but you can't disprove it yourself, right? Because for me, all I see is some pixels of you. So I don't know that there's a bubble of perception there. Maybe this is a bit philosophical, but yeah.
Oh, it totally is, but that's okay. That's oneness appearing as having a philosophical conversation, but none of this is mind. There actually is no mind. This is oneness speaking to itself. This is a love affair. So you're speaking to yourself. This is a mirror. Totally.
Yeah, and I've had glimpses like that. But can it be said that there is like an externality to local perception? Is that something that can be?
Well, you could call this a hologram in a sense. It's not real. It seems to be, and it also seems to be moving. So it's very convincing. It seems solid, but it's liquid.
Yeah, I mean, I've done psychedelics, so I kind of
well, and it's not that we're walking around like, oh my God, I'm melting, you know, like, oh, no, it's very ordinary. It's just very obvious that this is a lucid dream. It's not going anywhere and it didn't come from anywhere. This is the genesis. This is the genesis. This is the genesis.
Yes. Could you say more about that? Because I was wondering, when you have a dream and then suddenly you become lucid, it's like, it's kind of like everything changes, but nothing does, because would that be true? Is it the same in this dream? Because
you could say, yeah, nothing changes, but the personal perception dissolves and there's an impersonal seeing.
Right.
So there's no longer a personal perception. So there's no ownership. That's what drops. But everything's the same, meaning coffee, toilet paper, doing the laundry, all of that arises. It's not a personal engagement, so to speak. It's really hard to explain. Because person's connected to time, you could say. And it's all about a centerpiece of me. Everything's about me, mine, time, me. There's a specialness.
True.
Yeah.
Would you say that when the character, because I'm very curious as to why existence or reality or what is would let the apparent character in on the fact that it is a dream? Like what? Because then it feels like the character could kind of run away with it. Because if you realize that you're dreaming, then it's like I can do what I like with the dream. So
I get what you're saying. And that's where I get what you're saying. That's where the word lucid dream could get sticky. Because in a lucid dream, you can seem to manipulate things.
Yeah.
Not like that. That's why I say nothing I say is an end all be all. They're just pointings. Let's go deeper here. No one will ever wake up because there's no one asleep. The character that appears is spaciousness appearing as a character. There actually is no ego, mind, or you at all.
But people, I hear spiritual teachers sometimes say that there's a waking up that can happen, but no one wakes up.
Yeah. But this isn't a spiritual teaching though.
But isn't there only dreaming? So how can you wake up from outside of a dream when there's only dreaming?
Exactly. There's no one asleep. That's why no one can wake up. It's a fallacy. It's also a paradox. And that'll be heard when it's heard. Otherwise, seeking continues. The chasing of the tail continues because this is already it.
But when
it's
you
appearing
wake up,
as everything.
when it appears that
nobody wakes up. Nobody wakes up.
I know.
Nobody wakes up
But when you
because no one's
realize
asleep.
when it's seen that it's a dream, can that have an effect of, because I don't know, psychedelics,
Well, if you're, I
they
get what
kind
you're
of
saying. So
they kind
if
of
you look,
destabilized the ground. Like I feel like reality is really groundless, and it kind of worries me. Like I don't know why I have this existential worry, but this is
oh, that
really
can
kind of
arise.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and existential crisis can totally arise because we're
yeah,
stripping
yeah.
away hope, so to speak. You know, but this is very ordinary what we're speaking about. But in the story of Anna, an existential crisis totally did appear because hope was
Yeah,
stripped. There was still a little bit of a belief here of importance, meaning, you know, all
yeah.
of these types of things. The stories I was told as a child were just being flushed down the drain. Of course, there can be like a shock to the nervous system, but that shock to the nervous system is liberation appearing as a shock to the nervous system. That's God appearing as shock. So
Right.
there's nothing wrong with the shock. There's nothing wrong with the existential crisis because that's oneness or liberation appearing as that. Of course, it's
Why would
uncomfortable.
reality do
No,
that for itself? Because
it's not,
sometimes
because this isn't actually happening. It only seems to be. Is the dream really happening at night? This isn't really happening.
okay, but when I
Only to
hear
you, it
right,
is.
but when I
It's
hear
not actually
spiritual
happening.
teachers say,
I'm not a spiritual teacher. This isn't a spiritual teaching.
okay,
This is unorthodox. Yeah.
yeah, you got me. But when I hear that said, nothing happens. I wonder, like,
Mm.
is it that the appearance of the past never really happened, or is it just that nothing is really happening now? So is
Both.
it that there is no past, or is it that now isn't really happening, so
Both.
nothing's really ever happening?
Both. It is and
Oh,
it is not. Now, your perception of the past, a memory that arises as the past, is it's just a memory appearing as this. There is only this. And what can appear in this is flashbacks or future projections. That's where the sense of separation lives because it can't be here. It just can't relax into this because it's always trying to create its survival and its identity. We have actually no identity. We own absolutely nothing. And that's the joy. The stress and the survival energy is I need to be somebody. I've got to prove myself. And I really need to understand this. But look to the children. Until you become like little kids, you'll never know the kingdom of God, right? That's paraphrasing Jesus. But that child is here right now.
but there are no answers. So me wondering
You're
about
right.
solipsism is just me wondering about solipsism. So you can't tell me
Totally,
what.
man.
Oh, but
No, because that's just a philosophy. Philosophy
yeah,
is just a person who feels separate trying to understand this. No philosopher has ever understood this or can understand this. This is beyond all doctrines, philosophies, religions, and spiritual teachings. It's too simple.
but
It
people have written some. I don't mean to quibble, but some like people like Ibn Arabi. I don't know if you know him, or have
just so
written
you
about
know, there is no people.
yeah.
You're putting characters of oneness on pedestals. This is oneness speaking to oneness already.
True, but it just seems
Yeah.
like it's there are
I'm
seems to be rules to what appears in the dream. Like sometimes it like I had this experience where someone said, "Oh, you can ask." Like I was struggling with something, and she said to me, "You can ask God for relief," and I was like, "Well, you shouldn't be able to do that because that would just be a cheat code, right? Like if I could just ask God for relief every time, then I'd just do that every time." But then I
Well,
did do that,
that's someone
and
negotiating with life.
yeah,
Why would you need to negotiate with life, if you are God, if you are source? Who would be negotiating other than a belief system, an imagination,
yeah. But it
the
seems like
story?
sometimes there are rules that work, and sometimes there's like
Yeah,
structure and order to things.
that's your
And then,
personal experience. That's what's arising there. There are no rules though. This is anarchy appearing orderly. But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if there's a belief there that there needs to be rules, believe it or not, your hologram will spit that out.
okay, so
It's a
but
loop.
that's a rule.
No, it's not a rule. It just seems to be that way. Just like, you know, in a dream at night, if you feel unworthy, it can seem like unworthy messages are being confirmed back to you,
Because it's
right?
sometimes it's said that reality conforms to the apparent character. Is that the case? Do you think?
Appearance. Yeah,
maybe this
it's an
stuff is
appearance,
more,
though. It's
is
not
more,
real.
maybe this
Yeah,
stuff is
it's not real. And when
more in the line
I
of
get,
conjecture than anything else. I feel like.
yeah, there really is no final answer because the one who has the question actually doesn't exist. All questions stem from the dream of separation, that there's actually something to get. And what we're suggesting here is there's no you to get anything in regards to this, because this is already free.
So things like law of attraction, that can just either happen or not happen.
Oh, they're
Like
just stories, my friend. They're for the
paranormal
seeker.
things can
Yeah,
happen or not happen.
they're for the seeker. Law of
Okay.
attraction, drugs, prayer, meditation,
Yeah.
staying on your head, yodeling, crystals. They're for someone who thinks, if I do this, I will be more fulfilled. What we're suggesting here is that that is already fulfillment, appearing as, let's chase our own tail.
But
So
why?
law of attraction
Okay.
continues
Yeah.
until it realizes this is already it. What
Can
we're
I just-
talking about here is a death or a loss. You know a lot, and that's why there's no space to listen. This isn't about knowing, brother. It's about the death of the one who thinks they know. So I got to say, there's
It's kind
nothing
of-
here for you.
Can I ask one thing? Sorry, I take up
Sure.
so much time. But I won't.
Go for it.
Just like I get worried about infinity. So like most of my life I was, well, very scared of death. And okay, this is a story, but you know, very terrified of death, you know, cold sweat.
Yeah.
And that has like a real weight to it. Like it's not, maybe it weighs on me philosophically as well. But yeah, I sometimes like do this exercise before I sleep, which is just like imagining a worst possible case scenario. Like if I was caving and the cave started to fill with water, and like, you know, some terrible situation.
But why do you need to do that? Why do you need to do
Yeah,
that before you go to bed?
that's what I think about, because
Hmm.
if what is infinite, then eventually that will be experienced, and I'm afraid of experiencing that. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's the mind projecting into a future scenario. There really is no time. There is no future. This is already death. You were never born. You can't die. But the story of you can die, of course, but you're immortal, my friend. You're eternal. You're just appearing as a character who has a story that says, I'm infinite and all these things may appear and die. So I need to imagine them before I go to sleep at night. Talk about stress. There's nothing wrong with that. That's liberation appearing as seeking. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's no advice here, but that will end and it will seem to dissolve when it's seen that this is already the inexhaustible source appearing as stories, appearing
how do I know that everything's well? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do I know?
You won't know, because that's why you're in fear. You know too much, but you think, if I know more, I'll be freer. But actually knowing more is bondage. What we're talking about here again is the death of the one who thinks they know. This doesn't know. This did not attain anything. This did not reach anything. The one who wanted to died, dissolved, did not arise anymore. Yeah. So natural emotions still appear.
My fears are just projections, is what you're saying.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. They're stories. But that's oneness playing in the field of, I'm afraid of the future that's not even here.
So there's nothing, so fear can arise, but there's nothing to fear in fear. Is that what you're saying? Well,
fear can arise, but usually the fear that most beings are speaking about is what you're suggesting, which is a mind projected, time-based belief system or a story. This is heaven appearing orderly. This is heaven in disguise. The story of seeking and duality is, I'm separate and I'm going to go find this in time. I'm going to do all these practices, all of these different things, because the root of the person is living in the idea that they're not source. I can only confirm you are the source appearing insecure. You are the inexhaustible source appearing exhausted. You are ultimate freedom appearing clueless, unconfident and doubtful. But I don't speak to the one who's in doubt. I speak to the one who's never gone to sleep. I speak to the one who's fully awake, who is confident. And that's what resonates with this message. Teachers and religious figures are going to speak to a story and a belief that feels broken. I just can't go there with you because I can only see light. Plain small.
But why does it have that bias of being it when those words like heaven, paradise that I've heard you use before?
They're just words. We can call it fart if you want.
It has that bias like of goodness, right? Not
Yeah,
neutrality.
we can call it fart. You want to call it fart instead? We can call it any word you want, man. The words don't matter because already the words are wordlessness appearing as words. It's this that's getting so hung up on words.
But why is it even worth speaking about if it's neutral? That's my question, I guess.
It's not, but why not? Why does the bird sing at dawn, brother? Why does the bird sing at dawn? Because it's life, it's passion, it's jazzy, it's sensual, it's sexy, it's delicious, it's life, it's alive, it's innocent, it's pure. This is already pure. Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've seen Spirited Away, the film.
No.
Oh, there's like a character called No Face who like wears this mask, and it's kind of an evil spirit, but kind of not. In a certain situations it's evil, but it wears this happy mask. And sometimes I feel like when I look at the characters that don't have any self, it's like they just got eaten by the non-duality monster, and now there's this happy mask saying, come on in, the water's fine. But really I should be running the other way. Like, do you know, I get that because I'm very skeptical about everything.
The mind can only be skeptical of this. But again, I'm not speaking to the one who's skeptical or in doubt. There can be a resonance. You didn't even come to this Sangha. You're not even asking the questions. You have no control. What resonates with this message is isness. What rejects this message is beliefs and stories.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing I can do, my friend. But I love you and I appreciate you. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Take care, man. Hey, Faiza. Faiza. I'm not saying it right. You can unmute yourself.
Faiza.
Faiza. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Hey, no girl.
Problem. It just thank you for being here in this space, meeting me here.
No problem. No problem.
There's really nothing to say. It's like how can anything how can anything convey this?
That's why tears and smiles and laughter. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything just like when you were talking to him and when you were explaining that, I was just I was just in tears because it was all so true, you know, everything you're saying. And he just kept going. I understand he wants to have answers, but there's really, you're just pointing to this, like, but you keep going to the mind and coming up with a new question, but we're saying, stay here and see this.
Yeah.
But there's all this avoidance.
Yeah.
Of course,
yeah. Which we learned. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Story.
Yeah.
So there's really, I mean, nothing to drop because it's all just a story.
But the show goes on.
Right.
For no one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
before I would feel so much pain, knowing that almost nobody is present and they can never meet me. They always meet me with the filter.
Yeah.
Like a projection. And I'm just meeting them here. And it was really painful, to go through this, but it's more relaxing into it now that there's nothing wrong with that. Like that was just a story that something needs to change, that they need to meet me here. But it really is enough that I'm here.
Oh yeah. Girl, I get you. I totally
But
get you.
I started my so-called spiritual seeking, and I listened to a lot of the different spiritual teachers. And then one day I watched something with Muji, and when he was talking, I mean, something within just shifted instantly. I mean, because he speak of non-duality,
Mhm.
and it just resonated so much. And
Mhm.
then I found you too, and which is about the same thing, basically, that there's nothing to learn, nothing to get, nothing to reach, because this is already it. You're already here, but your attention is elsewhere. So we're only trying to bring your attention here.
In a sense, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that's the only thing that seems to stop arising is the filter, that personal filter.
Exactly. And that was so
Yeah.
painful for me in the beginning, Anna. It was really painful to go through that. Everybody I meet is holding a filter. They can never meet me. There's always a judgment, or if I said
Mhm.
something, there's like a story behind it or whatever is arising.
Mhm.
And I went through a lot of, even with my own partner, like sometimes I would try to get him to just be here and present, like, just here.
Mhm.
But if I'm here, then nothing's wrong. I mean, you know,
Mm. I get you though, and that's why why this
it was
space,
hard
like,
to let go. It was hard to let go of the
yes,
story of that, all the pain that nobody's meeting me here in this space.
yeah,
You know?
right,
And,
yeah,
I have to go through like pain and suffering, so to say, meeting all those people and your own family, and knowing that when I'm talking to my mom, she has a filter of me in the past, and she's judging rather than just meeting her just pure, like just presence. There's no judgment. I'm not thinking anything. There's no thoughts. I'm just meeting you. And
right. And they can be total assholes, and it just doesn't matter. In the
exactly.
sense, like
But
they
in the
can,
beginning,
it's nothing needs to
exactly in the
change. Yeah,
exactly. But in the
yeah,
beginning, what
yeah.
was going on for me was the unwillingness to just accept that everybody is the way they
Mm,
are, and
mm-hmm.
they everybody isn't present, and there's nothing wrong with that. They'll be present when they will be, like there are some moments where
Or
people
well,
do feel
yeah,
happy, and so when they're present, oh, I had this lovely situation, or I went to this country and it was so harmonious, I felt so happy there. And you didn't feel happy there. You were just very present in a moment there. So you were experiencing reality. But you
mm,
had a story about it, that that country
mm-hmm.
made you feel a certain way, which
Mm-hmm.
is untrue. Because what happened there, you let go of your identity there. You were totally free of that. And that felt
Mm-hmm.
like heaven. Like, oh, that was this most epic thing. I have to go back there. Like, so
Right, right, and that's why
that
beings get addicted to workshops and
attached,
stuff.
exactly, so they
Yeah,
have
things like
attachment
that.
to that. Yeah, I
Right,
totally get
right.
why that goes
Mm-hmm.
on,
Mm.
but yeah,
Mm.
that's the most awesome thing about like non-duality, but there's really nothing to teach. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you're just
It's very,
here
it's yeah, it's
with
simple.
us, trying to get us to stay here. to just be
Well, it's
so
not even to
present.
stay here because no one can
No,
stay here. There's
because
no
we are
choice. It
already
either
here.
happens
So
or it
then-
doesn't. Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yes.
But the
Right.
more we hear this, so to speak, it's like, yeah,
Exactly.
it's like
because it's
little
like
mechanism can dissolve. Mhm.
repetition.
Mhm.
Because sometimes I'll be watching a satsang and then I watch it again, and then I would have a more resonance inside, like it will resonate
Mhm.
more deeply, or I will get a more deeper realization, despite
Mhm.
I heard it before. But that's how
Mhm.
consciousness or whatever this is. That's how it works. But
It's heard when it's heard. Sometimes it's only one time, you know?
exactly.
Yeah. All right, Biza. Just B's got her hand up. So do you have another question? Otherwise, I'm going to skedoodle onto Just B.
No.
All right,
Thank
beautiful,
you.
Fizes.
Love you.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for expressing that too. Really appreciate it.
You.
Thank you.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care.
You too.
All right, Just B. Is that what you go by, Just B? Very curious. Is that what they call you on the streets? Where'd you go? Oh, maybe it was an accident. Maybe you didn't need your hand up. Let's see. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Jay. JJ the jet plane. What's happening? Oh, you're muted, my friend. Can't hear you.
Oops, okay, my bad.
Oh, it's okay. It's cool.
You've said before that it's heard when it's heard.
Mhm.
Now, what
Yep.
you're saying there is pointing towards, or is just another way of saying it's recognized when it's recognized. Correct? It's heard when it's heard. It's recognized when it's recognized. Correct?
In a sense, like the bell rings when the bell rings.
Yeah.
In a sense, yeah. But for many, and not all, it doesn't have to be. There's no one size fits all for this. Obviously, it's spontaneous, but there can be glimpses. The glimpses aren't for the person. It's like the person dissolves back into the spaciousness, so to speak, because the person is just space. It's totality, but it's just it dissolves. And then there's the impersonal seeing. But what can pop back up is the person, which is spaciousness appearing as the person, or a story, or a belief in time. That's it. So
Yeah.
what we're suggesting here is there's nothing wrong. Everything that's appearing already is totality. There's nothing that needs to be getting rid of. I know
Yeah.
it sounds like a paradox.
Well, that's not surprising. It seems like everything's a paradox.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is completely intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I guess what I was just saying is, you say that it's heard when it's heard. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. I've heard a little bit about how you said you heard, you heard it finally, and I just thought that you saying that it's heard when it's heard is just another way of saying it's recognized when it's recognized. It's
Right.
noticed when it's noticed. It's seen when it's seen.
So to
Same,
speak.
different words pointing to the same thing, right?
In a nutshell, Jay, this is already, yeah, the source is appearing as Jay
Yeah.
right now, trying to figure it out. Yeah. It's really comical. It's not funny when we're trying to get this. It's not funny. But yeah, I can only just keep tapping you on the nose, you know?
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
Jay.
trying to nitpick about words here, but I'm just trying to, people have different, people say different words in reference to the same thing, which there's only, just this, right?
Yeah, but that's why a lot of beings like
Yeah.
poetry, or they dance, or they do art, because this really can't be taught. It's already
Yeah.
this. You're literally staring in the face of the unknowable mystery every day when you look in the mirror. It's just when you think you know that, oh, I'm Jay, I'm Anna, I'm this character, and this is my story. That's all you see in the mirror. But it's dancing particles of light. Woohoo.
Okay.
All right, Jay, I'm going to go on to Saskia. I got quite a few
all right.
hands up here. Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
man. Hey, Saskia. What's up, girl?
Hi.
Hey. Hi.
Ah,
Welcome.
hello,
Good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Long time no see.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah, I sometimes watch the Sangha afterwards and and on YouTube and all the stuff. And sometimes it's all you're talking about is totally obvious. It's like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, what the F? You know, like, why would I believe anything else? And then sometimes, you know, like, what? And it's even more obvious when there are heavy opinions flying around. Like, I live with my family and they're like, no vaccination stuff. And I was just like, yeah, I want to go to the restaurant, give me that shit. You know, like, pfft, I don't care. And they have strong opinions and want to discuss, and all the Germans want to discuss at the moment. And I'm like, oh, it's so hard to find an opinion and fight it. You know, like, it's like, like, where would
And
I?
that's what's appearing. That's what's appearing. The COVID, the all of
Yeah.
that, the fighting, all of that. Oneness,
Yeah.
polarities crashing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the polarities aren't actually opposite. They're the one source playing with itself, so to speak.
They are playing hard at the moment.
Seems that way. It seems that way. And all that stuff kind of loses the interest and importance. It can be fun to talk about or whatever, but that whole like, oh, my stance is better than your stance, like all of that collapses. Who gives a crap? Boring. Yeah.
Where can I find one to play the game with you? You know, like, I have to make something up to join the conversation like this.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you do got to make shit up, don't you, sister? But that's okay. But here's another thing, Saskia. What I was going to chime in earlier saying was, so many beings who come to this, they're not seeking anymore. It's just like when you turn on a radio and you want to hear a song. It's like, it's not a seeking. It's just, wow, this beat, this beat, this beat. So you don't have to make anything up to come to Sangha. You know, it's just a space to be, or to pretend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's maybe it's like this, like, I try to be the ship, not the ocean, you know, like, ooh, I'm back.
Hey, well, be like Titanic and sink back into the ocean. Yeah.
This is the best one. Yeah, I can play
the violin. I'll play the violin while it goes down.
I like it a lot. Yeah, because I could never say I'm done or something. Although,
you won't ever, but you got to see Saskia already. Oneness is appearing as Saskia. You never will be done. You will never get rid of Saskia because life is Saskia. Saskia is life. That's why there won't be a change. But what stops arising is neurosis of, oh my God, I shouldn't be Saskia, or I shouldn't be Anna, or I shouldn't be a girl, or whatever. All that stuff just collapses, and there's just the aliveness of the character, which could be very sassy, Saskia.
so the mind fuck arising, like, ooh, I should have done this the right way, or stuff like that.
Oh, what's the right way? That's a make-believe.
What's
now? Obviously, there's a right way to make homemade bread, right? If you leave out the flour, it's probably going to look a little weird, like church crackers or something. But there's no right way for this. This is already liberation. So if liberation fucks up making homemade bread, that's liberation appearing as fucking up homemade bread, and that's perfect. That is harmony. You see, but the person or the idea is, okay, if I make homemade bread perfectly, then I'm closer to enlightenment. You know, if I pack on more muscle, if I lose more weight, if I can hold my breath, if I can do a yoga posture, if I can hold all my crystals, I will be closer to God.
Yeah.
This is already God.
Yeah, I definitely have to lose my Buddha belly, you know.
Oh, but those are the best. Why get rid of that?
I told people
life is appearing as that. Yeah. And that's what's beautiful about this message. Change can seem to appear, you know, like evolution can seem to appear. Weight gain, weight loss, hair loss, you know, hair gain. It's all an appearance, and it's all liberation appearing as the movement and the oscillation. It isn't actually moving or going anywhere. It just appears to be. So that's why there won't be a change. It's both. It's nothing and simultaneously everything. Nothing is happening, yet simultaneously it is happening.
I like it that, I mean, it's a joke somehow, you know.
Oh,
Like,
totally.
if it was for about some achievement, it wouldn't be people like you and me. Like, I'm the overweight single in my 40s that's like pop like a popcorn.
Girl, you look amazing.
And
Yeah,
it's
it doesn't matter.
Hey, I'm the straight conscious guy meditating 17 years in a row, and it's like a joke, like taking it's like taking people who are alcoholics or homeless or whatever, and all the narcissistic self-centered spiritual thing. It's not working, and I can laugh about this for hours, you know. Like,
oh yeah, no, there's a lot of good material. There's a lot of material. There's a lot of material.
I like it.
There is. I feel like there should be a like a Saturday Night Live, but for spirituality and like, you know, self-help and stuff. It's because, yeah, it's not funny when you're seeking, but when this is obvious, it's obvious. I mean, we're chasing our own tail, and that's why it hurts. We're biting it over and over again. You know, nothing needs to change. Change can appear. So all we're really looking at is that word need. It kind of crumbles. So a job can appear, weight loss, cool new groovy money, new wardrobe, but that word need's gone. So it's kind of like cherry on top of the sundae. I can have it, I don't need it though. You know what I mean? So there's preferences, but that really heavy word need collapses.
I get something. I don't know what, but
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's not constant happiness, and it's not constant gratitude all the time. I mean, yeah, we're talking about natural.
Sometimes shit is happening, you know.
Yeah, sometimes shit seems to hit the fan. It gets everywhere. Yeah.
I like the image. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. But yes. And so that's why we're just speaking about what is, which can seem to drop the neurotic energy that kind of curls the shoulders and I need to be doing something. What am I supposed to be doing? Like, it's constant, you know. That's why it's like this, because it feels like there's a huge boulder on your shoulders. Literally, there's nothing here. There is no self. There's no self at all already. There is no doer. So we're just dancing and prancing. Yeah.
You're enjoying this far too much.
Oh no, yeah.
Just kidding. I can sense the enjoyment in it.
No, there is fun. It is a joy. It is a joy. Yeah. And of course, characters can flow more than other characters, so to speak. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's just energies. So what?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Saskia. Good to see you and your adorable sloth in the background. You take care. Yeah.
He's amazing. He's doing nothing, getting everything, you know. He's living meditation, you know, like.
Yeah. He's truly enlightened because he's not moving. He's not flinching. He's a statue. Truly enlightened. Yeah. Thanks, Saskia. Take care. All right, Adir.
Hi, Anna, how are you?
Good. How are you, friend?
Doing good, thanks. I know there is no teaching here, but I don't know, sharing something. There is like an apparent action that that like going under the radar, right? Or under the radar of the thoughts of the character of the mind, you know?
Yeah, that's oneness appearing as a mind, as a character already. And so the question that's being asked right now is oneness appearing as the question, oneness answering, but there really isn't an answer because I'm just saying your oneness. There isn't an answer. Yeah, so what you're calling your thoughts, that's oneness appearing as thoughts, which seems to create the appearance of a person. And when there's a person, we say my mind. But thoughts are nothing. They have no substance. And what I mean by substance is there's nothing underneath this. No stance, no position. That's what I mean by freedom.
Exactly, but like in a way you need to dodge them, right?
Who
No.
would dodge them, and why would you need to dodge them? The only reason
Why not?
that experience appears is because you were told you should dodge them. Everything we think we know it's a hand-me-down. So the whole dodge thoughts, get rid of emotions and thoughts, they're just a teaching. You were told that. What we're speaking about here is it's like an open door. No one's keeping it open. No one's closing it. It's just anything can appear. Crankiness, anger, frustration, horniness, anything can appear. It's not mine. I don't own it. So I don't need to go, oh, you're not enlightenment. You shouldn't be there. Like that just doesn't appear. So anything can arise viscerally, any sensation. It's just, it's not owned by anyone. So there's no commentary. There's no box of good and there's no box of bad. And because there's no good and bad, there's a neutrality. And because there's a neutrality, there's an innocence. Like a kid, like being like a kid.
It's not the same. This is not a handout, what you're saying right now.
It's not what? Say that again. What would you say?
This is not like some kind of an instruction of guidance. What are you saying now? You're explaining something. You're explaining your kind of theory, right? To life.
It's not a theory. Saying that anything can appear.
What is
when
it?
there's when that dynamic of seeking collapses, it's not about micromanagement. There's micromanagement arising there because there's still a self-consciousness. When self-consciousness collapses, any sensation can appear. It doesn't matter. You are the absolute. You are totality. You are everything. So why would you need to get rid of certain thoughts and emotions? That's a denial of yourself.
I don't, but it's like this is like where the focus. This is like it's like some kind of a game where you put your focus on, right? If you put your focus on it, then you're a character. If you're not putting your focus on it, then you're nothing.
You're not controlling your focus. That's what we're suggesting here.
I didn't say I'm controlling.
Focusing arises or it doesn't. But what I'll say is those questions are coming out of an idea of a person who has free will and choice to practice something. Like there's an importance in focusing, like focusing means it's special or you're going to come closer to enlightenment. See, there's still someone there thinking that focus has an importance or specialness. It has no meaning. It's a teaching. And I heard many things about that, especially in therapeutic circles. Focus is very powerful. It also can manifest all the shit you want. You know, it depends on the story of the teacher. Yeah. What we're speaking about here is so simple. It's this. And when it's seen that this is everything and that nothing is actually happening simultaneously, self-consciousness doesn't appear. Self-consciousness is out of the dream of separation, of micromanagement and control, because it doesn't feel fulfilled. It feels very hollow. It feels doubtful. It feels insecure. And so it thinks if I do these practices that these teachers are handing out like gummy bears, I will get closer. And damn it, your prison cell may be more comfortable and you may slow down neurosis of anxiety, OCD, and depression, but there will still be an itch. What's next? Doubt. What's next? What do I do now? What do I do now? So that is the energy we're speaking about. And that's what seems to collapse of what do I do now? Because what do I do now is coming out of fear that you're not home. But you are.
You're doing stuff, right?
There is no Anna. You think you're speaking to a person and you're not. Doing happens or seems to happen. Doing appears, just like choice seems to appear. Words appear. There's no controller is what we're suggesting. All of this is spontaneously arising with no controller. Just like, look at the plants and the wind. Things seem to be going on. No one's doing it. Same with your heartbeat right now, dear. And the breath. So what we're pointing to is a life force a mystery that seems to animate the characters, but simultaneously the character is the mystery. So again, I can only hold up the mirror. But I can share with you, Adir, that practices like yoga, breath work, maybe going to certain community circles may and still can arise when it's seen that there is no controller, there's no self to get rid of. But the specialness and the importance will dwindle because it's seen that this is already it. But maybe I do yoga to stretch the hammies. Yeah.
I love your energy.
Thanks, Adir. Let's see. Alexander? You have your hand up?
Hi, me again. So when I was thinking about what you just said, even though nothing happened, obviously, I realized I was kind of getting a bit frustrated in the sense that, I mean, there's no me, but there was frustration that the questions weren't being entertained. And I guess that's just a wall to seeking energy. So that's why frustration happens.
Well, yeah, but it's frustration is just appearing. That's freedom appearing as frustration. Yeah, that's it too. That's it too.
Yeah. But then part of me feels like it is possible to understand life in a way that isn't just symbolic conceptual knowledge, like that you can sometimes you can become directly conscious of things in certain states, or have insights and the value of insights. And so in a certain sense, well, awakening, even though it's not really a thing, isn't even that interesting to me. Like more interesting is like epistemology and.
Oh, you're totally in the wrong space, man. This is not a space for philosophy or debate. But if that's what you're interested in, there's tons of avenues for you. Totally.
No, but I feel like non-duality does address the question of epistemology ultimately, because it just says there's nothing, arising is everything, and then that's it, game over. But then I'm like, no, maybe there are things that can be, maybe it's more to that.
It's because you're still there, that's all. So yeah, this can be heard intellectually, and it's just held as a new belief. That's not what we're talking about. So this can be heard, and it's just taken as a belief, and it's held as a philosophy, but they're still seeking energy. There's still neurosis. There's still what's next. There's still the belief in time. I mean, what we're speaking about here is not a belief. You can't believe this.
Just sometimes it's just interesting to entertain ideas. Like, is this message really the death of the intellectual life if you embrace it to its fullest extent?
Intellect appears, but what we're speaking about here is the mystery that even allows what you're calling your brain or intellect to appear.
Yeah.
But in the dream of time, knowledge is power. What we're saying here is it actually is bondage. It seems to bind you. This knowledge, it's not knowledge. Wisdom is not from time. Wisdom is innate and it's primordial. You can't learn this wisdom we're speaking about. It's not created. It wasn't born and it can't die.
Right.
Yeah, but it's formlessness, and it appears as form simultaneously. That's why you can hear this on a, let's say, visceral level, a energetic bodily level, not mental. The mind will sit here and just turn the gears, and then has another question. This is like immediacy. And the clouds part, the sun shines through. Holy shit, obvious.
And so
because there's nowhere to go.
You just kind of shut down questions because there's always another question, or the question.
Yeah, well, it lives in a circle. It lives in its own world of circles. It's just, it goes here, here, and it thinks that if I get to another question or a better question, then I'll have another answer. And that's the whole seeking. Oh, what, this workshop, now this book, now this teacher, now this guru, now this philosophy, and it's just hungry for more. What's hungry is the seeker, and it doesn't actually exist. That's why it's hungry. It's a ghost.
So
What's
you're,
real
yeah.
is that which is really, it has no interest, so to speak, in the becoming of time. It already is fulfilled. Yeah.
So that character there just isn't really interested in questions, and that's it. But there might be another character that it finds.
It's not that it's not interested in questions, but
Oh.
when the question still, it's the same question over and over and over again from a very mental response, and you can tell it's just looping. Yeah, it just goes on to the next. But
Yeah.
questions are the absolute appearing as a question. So there's no one here denying it, because I'd be denying myself. But yes, questions can become very redundant and repetitive when there's a person.
Yeah, because I felt like when I was asking you questions, I wasn't really listening because I was just thinking about the next question and the fact that you weren't answering.
Of course.
Them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very normal, but not natural. Yeah.
Okay.
It's normal to be up here, not natural. What we're speaking about here is a naturalness, because you're already home. Time isn't real. But as long as you think time is real, questions will pop out like chocolates at a candy factory. They'll just keep coming. But I can say the more one hears this message, seemingly, it's kind of like just hitting a brick wall, because there's nowhere to go. I'm just holding up a mirror.
But in a way, it seems like in some strange sense, it seems like there's a strange loop in the sense that ignorance, in a way, is like the highest form of wisdom, because it's bliss, as far almost like the most mature version of bliss. Like it's bliss that makes itself very, very hard to get. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. That sounds like a really confusing story, but have at it, man. You go for that.
If you woke up and then you just opened your curtains and there was bliss, like why would you do anything else? Do you know what I mean?
Well, and that's spirituality and religion. It's selling bliss. What we're talking about here is bliss is everything. It's also sadness. So when in what we're calling awakening or liberation, it's not the end of natural emotions. Sadness still appears. So does pain. So does frustration or anger. So does job loss. The show goes on, but for no one. And already there is no one. There is no you to get this. There is nothing to get. And that's just heard when it's heard. This is already fulfillment. And what can appear in fulfillment is a little person that says, I'm going to go find it. And that's just a thought. It's just a story. It's just an idea. And when we don't know who we are intuitively, we cling to ideas. But you're not an idea. And you're not a thought.
So questions like that I had since a little kid, like is this the perspective of this character appearing and not the perspective of Anna, or someone else?
Well, I have to say, you weren't born. So your past isn't real. So what you're sharing is a story.
Okay.
And the mind, the apparent mind, lives in stories because it can't stand this. It can only deny this. But this is where the absolute hides. It hides in plain sight. It hides as a ponytail. It hides as a can of aha. It's hiding as a question because it doesn't want to see its faceless face. But you are the source. This is the source appearing as, I'm not the source.
But why does it do that? Why does it hide from itself?
Why not?
So
this isn't really happening, my friend.
Really,
I know why.
So really, it's what I want to be happening.
No.
No?
You're spinning stories. This isn't really happening, similar to a dream experience at night. But Alexander, I can tell you, that question is what dissolves why. And then all you're left with is this, an unknowable perfection, not for anyone.
Okay, that's enough questions. Thank you.
All right, beauties. Is it 11 CST? I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. Let me see if we got any quick. Mm. I'm just going to answer this little question or statement real quick. Just because there's no thing does not mean we should do nothing. There is already no you. So it's not that you won't do anything. It's that there's already no you. So life apparently goes on, but without the neurotic energy of trying to figure this out. All right, friends. I'm going to end recording now, okay?